Good Morning America, celebrating Francis, the People's Pope. Hundreds of thousands of the faithful, from presidents to princes, saying goodbye to the man known as the People's Pope. Francis remembered for his faith, his inclusivity, and his efforts to help the unfortunate. The pageantry and the break from tradition following his wishes, the final journey to his humble resting place. What comes next? The centuries-old procedures to pick the next leader of the Catholic Church.
Deal or no deal? The president claiming he's made more than 200 trade agreements. The new questions this morning as Beijing calls any active talks on tariffs fake news.
Judge arrested, accused of helping a man evade immigration agents at the courthouse to avoid getting taken into custody. The charges at play and the details behind her arrest.
Facing a judge, Luigi Mangione answering to federal charges in the murder of the head of United Healthcare, lawyers fighting to take the death penalty off the table, plus a new development in Sean Diddy Combs' federal sex trafficking case.
Summer travel taking off. The airfare bargains you can expect to see, where to fly and save.
And NFL Draft rounds 2 and 3 overnight. The newest rookies for the pro teams, who was called and who wasn't, plus the triumph amid tragedy.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
And Good Morning America, thanks for being with us on this Saturday morning. As you're joining us now, we have just witnessed the final goodbye to the People's Pope. Pope Francis earned that name. He always wanted to be close to the faithful, even insisting that when he would lie in state in the Vatican after his death, that his coffin be low to the ground so that those who would come to pay their respects could see him. And they did come, an estimated 250,000 over 3 days.
And about just as many people filled St. Peter's Square this morning. The crowd's overflowing for his funeral mass. Screens were set up outside the square so more people could see. Attending the funeral, some of the most powerful people in the world. 2 American presidents, Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Dozens of heads of state, royalty there too. Prince William representing King Charles. After the mass, though, something that has not been seen in over 100 years. This right there, Pope Francis taken on his final journey, a procession winding through the streets of Rome.
Yeah, just incredible to witness this. And all attention next will go to that secret conclave to choose the next pope to begin in the first or second week of May. The man they choose will have great power over the direction of the church, the 1.3 billion Catholics worldwide, and the future of Pope Francis's legacy of inclusivity and his championing of those less fortunate. We have team coverage in Vatican City this morning. We're going to begin with ABC's senior national correspondent, Terry Moran. Terry, such an emotional morning.
Truly, Rhiannon, and good morning. On this beautiful spring morning in Rome, more than 250,000 people came here to St. Peter's Square to say a final farewell to Pope Francis and to hear the High Mass, an ancient ritual, of course, that means so much to ordinary Catholics. It's a moment that drew world leaders and ordinary faithful and all kinds of people, young and old, who just felt close to this remarkable man who led the world's 1.3 billion Catholics for 13 years. This morning in St. Peter's Square, the solemn, formal farewell to Pope Francis, a mass attended by a vast crowd for the man who led the world's 1.3 billion Catholics for 13 years. Thousands of mourners from all over the world filled St. Peter's Square, with many lining up since dawn for a chance to attend the ceremony.
I can hardly stand up, but this is incredible. This is the chance of a lifetime to see this.
Many who waited through the night sprinted to the square, hoping to secure a prime spot. Heavy security watched over the gathered crowds. Francis died on Monday morning following a stroke after that unforgettable final appearance on Easter Sunday.
The final image we have of him, which will remain etched in our memory, is that of last Sunday, Easter Sunday, when Pope Francis, despite his serious health problems, wanted to give us his blessing from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica.
After his death, the Pope lay in state for 3 days in St. Peter's Basilica, where the Vatican says more than 250,000 people came to pay their respects. Last night, a moving ritual, the rite of the closing of the coffin, a white silk cloth placed gently over the Pope's face, a deed recounting the accomplishments of Francis's papacy put in a metal tube in his coffin, a bag of coins minted during his papacy as well, all part of the ancient ritual. The coffin was sealed, then nailed shut. The Pope had requested that he be laid to rest at the Basilica of St. Mary Major in the heart of Rome. The Pope's hearse, a converted Pope-mobile. And Francis had asked that his tomb be undecorated with a one-word inscription, Franciscus, his name in Latin. Leaders came from around the world paying their last respects to the Pope this morning, including President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump, former President Joe Biden and former First Lady Jill, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and Prince William. Pallbearers carried Francis's coffin out of St. Peter's Basilica and into the square where the funeral mass was held. His casket was placed under the balcony where he first appeared as Pope 12 years ago. The gospel laid out on top of his coffin.
Per omnia saecula saeculorum.
Amen. Around 200,000 people attended the Pope's funeral mass.
God shows no partiality.
And the first reading was done by an American journalist, Kelsey Jussie. 91-year-old Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re remembered Francis in his homily as a unifying force in a rapidly changing world.
He gave of himself by comforting and encouraging us with a message capable of reaching people's hearts in a direct and immediate way.
And a striking moment, world leaders exchanging the sign of peace with one another afterward. Now there will be 9 days of formal mourning, and then the cardinals will be meeting, and at some point they'll set a date for that conclave when the successor to Pope Francis will be chosen. Whit?
All right, Terry, I mean, just a remarkable morning. Hundreds of thousands of people, seeing them lining the streets of Rome. But I want to ask you, though, in your days covering the passing of Pope Francis and his funeral today, is there a moment or conversation you had that will stay with you beyond this experience?
Well, with certainly the few conversations, brief conversations that I had with Pope Francis, just as a reporter on his plane, he made a point of coming back and talking to us. And he had a gift for connection, didn't he? And I'm thinking, in particular, somebody I met here in the square the other day, Mohammed Daoud. He was born in Sudan. Family fled the war. There was in a refugee camp in Chad. They went to Libya. Civil war broke out there. They ended up in one of those rubber boats across the Mediterranean. And he met Pope Francis. And he said, this is a man who understood me, who connected with me. And he felt close to this man. Muhammad is a Muslim, but he felt close to Pope Francis in that way that so many people did. He had that gift, a charisma of connection, of touch, and I think that's how he'll be remembered, and it's a gift to the church that he leaves behind.
Oh, what a powerful, powerful message. All right, Terry, thank you so much. And as the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis's message of peace inspired so many. Hundreds of thousands of people gathered in St. Peter's Square to pay their respects and to witness history. Let's bring in ABC's James Longman, also joining us now from Vatican City. Good morning, James.
Yeah, good morning, Gio. What a moment we all just witnessed right here on St. Peter's Square. I mean, take a look. This is the view that we had. A sea of people here. 250,000 people, we're told, assisting this funeral. We might be able to hear some of the music that is playing because people are still congregating around the big screens as they're watching the funeral continue, because he is being buried, of course, at St. Mary Major across town. I have to say that there was a bit of a festival vibe where we were, because there are so many young people here. This weekend is the Jubilee of the Teenager, and so there are a lot of teenagers in town, and we can see them here lying about, often chatting with their friends during the Mass. They got up and took it a little bit more seriously when the Eucharist started, where the bread and wine were transformed into the body and blood of Christ. But then the peace be with you, that was a lovely moment, because they all kind of sprang up and started shaking hands, not just with their friends, but they sought out strangers as well in the crowd. I think that's the kind of thing that Pope Francis would have been very, very proud of. And the moment with the world leaders as well was wonderful to see them shake hands. Of course, Donald Trump and Emmanuel Macron, we saw those two shake hands too. Other moments that animated the crowd when during the homily, which was really more of a eulogy for Pope Francis, the crowd were spoken to about Francis' commitment to helping the vulnerable, the dispossessed, the needy all around the world. The migration crisis was highlighted. He spoke about how Pope Francis regarded the church as a field hospital for those who've been injured and in need. That really animated people here. They loved that. That was the message that really punched through for Pope Francis and for people, not just in the Catholic Church, but all around the world. He was someone who cared about everyday people.
And you mentioned all of the teenagers and young people in the crowd and also the world leaders. We know not all of the world leaders are obviously Catholic. Did you see a lot of people of different faiths in the crowd this morning?
Yeah, I mean, all kinds of different people. This was a man who really cared about interfaith dialogue. And so, I mean, today there were people from all backgrounds, all ages. I have to say, from where we were, it wasn't clear to me what faith people did come from, but I certainly saw people from different countries. We saw Brazilian flags, Lebanese flags, Syrian flags. I mean, from all over the world. This was a man who really wanted to bring the world together. His favorite phrase, one of them was tutti, tutti, tutti. Everybody, everybody, everybody. That is what Pope Francis was all about, guys.
Tutti, tutti, tutti.
Love that.
Thank you, James.
All right, and Maggie Rulli is also there in the crowd in Vatican City. Hey, Maggie.
Hey, Gio. You know, as James just said, we have really seen so much diversity here on the ground out in Vatican City. I've spoken with so many young people that say being here is reinvigorating their faith in the Catholic Church. But I've also spoken with Joan Higgins from Ireland, an 85-year-old lifelong Catholic. And Joan, you were telling me exactly what it meant to you to be here for this moment in history.
Well, absolutely wonderful, because Pope Francis was fantastic. He was just spoke the truth. And he wants peace in the world. And you see, Carlos will be a saint of the internet for the younger people coming up, because that's what Pope Francis wanted. And Pope Francis told the truth, and he lived the truth. And he wants all the leaders of the nations to come together, but not without our prayer. The people have to pray, and then God will send the nations together for peace talks.
And I think that's what was so incredible, to be side by side with so many Catholics and non-Catholics. This feeling of collectivism is something I know I felt, and so many people that I've spoken with say the same thing.
I went up to Pope Francis' body. I was brought up in a wheelchair, and it was right beside him. And it was absolutely, I just got something up to my heart, and then tears, but they weren't tears of sadness, they were tears of joy, because I could feel a presence around, you know. And then I said to Pope Francis, at every Mass, I said, that you offered up, I said, everywhere, I said, you asked the people not to pray, or to pray for me. And so that's what I'm going to say to you now today. Pray for me, pray for the world, and pray for peace.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful. And Gio, we've been hearing that from so many people here. These words of peace have really resonated here in Vatican City, and I think around the world today, Gio.
That is beautiful. Not tears of sadness, but tears of joy. And I'd imagine that's exactly as the Pope would have wanted.
Absolutely.
Maggie, thank you so much. There are 9 days of mourning before the cardinals gather for their secret conclave to choose the next Pope. It's an ancient process that could take up to a week. And Terry Moran's going to be back in our next half hour here with a preview and what to look for in the days ahead.
All right, let's turn now to some news here in the U.S. The FBI's arrest of a judge in Milwaukee on charges she helped a man evade immigration authorities. ABC's Perry Russum has more on that. Good morning, Perry.
Rihanna, good morning to you. Judge Hannah Dugan is facing 2 charges, including obstruction and concealing someone to prevent their arrest. Officials say on April 18th, ICE was getting ready to arrest Eduardo Flores Ruiz, who they say is in the country illegally. He was set to be arraigned on 3 counts of battery in Dugan's courtroom. According to court documents, investigators say Dugan heard about the ICE officers in the hallway, left the bench, walked out of the courtroom, and told the officers to leave. Dugan is accused of then escorting Flores Ruiz through a jury door to avoid getting arrested in the hallway. According to the complaint, he was ultimately arrested by ICE outside the courthouse as he was trying to run away. Dugan was arrested early Friday morning by the FBI. She was seen leaving court after her arrest. Our affiliate WISN getting this video. She was asked if she had anything to say. She said nothing as she got into the back of the SUV. Dugan's attorney says she will defend herself vigorously and looks forward to being exonerated. Whit.
All right, Perry Russin for us. Thank you. We turn now to President Trump's trade war and confusion over whether the U.S. and China are actually in talks over the back and forth tariffs. ABC's Selena Wang is at the White House with the latest. Selena, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Whit. President Trump is claiming that he's made 200 trade deals, but there are fewer than 200 countries in the world, and the president isn't giving any details about those deals or what countries are involved. So the bottom line, guys, is that not a single trade deal has been announced. And as you mentioned, Whit, when it comes to the U.S.-China trade war, there's no clear end in sight, and it's not even clear if negotiations are even happening. So President Trump, for days now, he's been saying that there are these active talks between the U.S. and China on tariffs. But Beijing, they're flat out denying that, calling it fake news. China's foreign ministry says the countries have not consulted or negotiated on tariffs, adding that the United States should not confuse the public. The president also claims that he's spoken to Chinese leader Xi Jinping numerous times, but the president is not saying when. So when it comes to tariffs, still a lot of confusion out there for both businesses and consumers, Whit.
And Selena, as far as the impact here, some popular e-commerce sites are already starting to raise prices because of the tariffs.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the ultra cheap clothes and goods that you can get from Shein and Temu, well, they're getting more expensive. Starting yesterday, the Chinese e-commerce retailers began hiking prices. It's unclear how much those prices are increasing by, but the companies say they have to do it because of changes to global trading rules and because of tariffs. Many goods from China are now taxed at a steep 145%, and President Trump is changing global trading rules. He is closing a trading loophole that allows goods valued under $800 to come into the U.S. for free. So both of those changes are major hits to the business models of both Shein and Temu. Guys?
Selena Wang, thank you. Gio?
Okay, Whit, now to Luigi Mangione pleading not guilty to federal charges in the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Prosecutors declaring their intent to seek the death penalty. ABC's Aaron Katersky has the latest on the move to fight it.
This morning, after Luigi Mangione pleaded not guilty to federal charges, his lawyers begin trying to stop federal prosecutors from pursuing the death penalty. Mangione's attorneys have called it barbaric, and they have until June to say why the government should not be allowed to seek his execution. Prosecutors have said Mangione deserves it for allegedly stalking and killing United Healthcare Chief Executive Brian Thompson and for trying to provoke broad-based resistance to the victim's industry after investigators said they discovered words associated with insurance claims at the scene of the crime: delay, deny, depose. Prosecutors said other evidence would include cell phone data that allegedly tracked Mangione from his arrival in New York to his stay at a hostel to his movement outside the Hilton Hotel where Thompson was shot. Mangione, who last appeared dressed in ordinary clothes, came to court Friday in shackles and a beige jail outfit. He stood and said not guilty after the judge asked how he would plead.
The next few steps we can anticipate in this case would be the following of motions. First and foremost, trying to push back or fight against the death penalty.
He's not due to return to federal court until December, when the judge said she wanted to set a trial date for sometime in 2026. At the end of the hearing, the defense said prosecutors had listened in to one of Mangione's jailhouse phone calls with his lawyers. Prosecutors called it an inadvertent occurrence that was immediately flagged. The judge demanded a full explanation by the end of next week. Aaron Katersky, ABC News, New York.
Our thanks to Aaron Katersky for that. Other legal news now. A video showing Sean Diddy Combs kicking and dragging a former girlfriend will be allowed at his trial. That ruling from a judge in his sex trafficking and racketeering trial. The defense argues the video, which was first obtained by CNN, had been manipulated, but CNN denies that. Jury selection is scheduled to begin May 5th. Combs is accused of running a so-called criminal enterprise that allowed him to abuse victims for years. He has denied all the charges and has pleaded not guilty.
It's time now for the NFL Draft, rounds 2 and 3 overnight. And ABC's Ike Ajachi is in Green Bay, Wisconsin, with more on the picks and some primetime surprises as well. Ike, good morning.
Good morning, Wade. That's right. The second day of the NFL Draft wrapping up overnight. And the big story, the main issue everyone is talking about, isn't about who was drafted, rather It was about who wasn't. Shedeur Sanders, the star quarterback from Colorado, entering the third day of the draft without a team to play for. Sanders was widely expected to be selected in the first round, but on Friday, multiple teams with quarterback needs decided to go in another direction. One team executive in the QB market said there was, quote, no smoking gun, but it's not just football either. Sanders entering round 4 as the top prospect left. Now, some other notable picks. Nick Emenwari, the safety out of South Carolina, selected on the 3rd pick in the 2nd round by the Seattle Seahawks. Michigan's Will Johnson finding a new home with the Arizona Cardinals. The draft filled with triumph and tragedy. Tiffany Sane, the mother of Pittsburgh Steelers first-round pick Derek Harmon, passing away Thursday night shortly after her son was selected number 21 overall. Sane suffering a stroke in 2022 that left her paralyzed on her left side. She was on life support in the hospital while Harmon learned of his NFL future. Now, the remaining 4 rounds of the NFL draft are left. That begins today, noon Eastern, a big day for all those names still left on the board. Gio?
Okay, Ike, thank you so much for that. And coming up here on GMA, we're headed back to the Vatican to look at the ancient traditions involved in selecting a new leader of the Roman Catholic Church.
And the jury in the Karen Reed murder case tours the site near Boston where her boyfriend's body was found. We will look ahead to what's next in that trial.
And we have some tips and deals on planning your summer vacation and the cheapest time to travel. Stay with us. GMA coming up right after this.
But then you start treating me like an actual princess. Not a cliche fairy tale damsel, but a beautiful, flawed heroine of my own romance novel. I have never wanted anything more.
Ooh, it's going to be good. Welcome back to GMA. Fans love Madeline Brewer in The Handmaid's Tale, but she is getting a lot of buzz right now as Joe's new love interest in the newly dropped You. We are so excited to talk to her in our next hour. We're going to talk to her about both of those shows.
Oh, yeah, number one on Netflix right now.
It's a very good show.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it, but it's good.
Y'all get caught up.
Let's take a look at some of the other big stories that we're following here on this Saturday morning. The family of Virginia Giuffre, the woman who accused Jeffrey Epstein of trafficking her for Prince Andrew when she was under 18, says she died by suicide. Giuffre filed civil lawsuits against Epstein, a convicted sex offender who later died himself, and the Prince. Prince Andrew has always denied the allegation. So if you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, please call the number on your screen right now.
And Eric and Lyle Menendez have filed a motion to disqualify the LA district attorney from their case. They claim Nathan Hochman has bias against them. The brothers are serving life sentences for the 1989 murders of their parents in Beverly Hills. The case getting a lot of new attention recently. The brothers saying they should be resentenced after new evidence they say shows their father sexually abused them. No response yet from the DA's office.
And big news in the NBA playoffs overnight. The Minnesota Timberwolves beating the LA Lakers and the Milwaukee Bucks beating the Indiana Pacers. It's an exciting Saturday with 4 games. You can catch Game 3 of the Houston Rockets versus the Golden State Warriors right here on ABC. That's at 8:30 Eastern.
Okay, and we are going to start this half hour with more on the huge farewell to the beloved and humble Pope Francis. This morning in St. Peter's Square, about 200,000 people attending the funeral of the leader of the Catholic Church, beginning 9 days of mourning, prayers, and remembrance.
Heads of state from around the world, including President Donald Trump and former President Joe Biden, paying their respects. A procession is transporting Francis's body to his burial site in Rome's Basilica of St. Mary Major at Francis's request, since most popes are buried in the crypt at St. Peter's Basilica, and a nod to his dedication to a life of simplicity.
And the next step, of course, will be selecting a new pope, a centuries-old process steeped in tradition called the conclave. Let's go back now to ABC senior national correspondent Terry Moran, who is there in Rome. Terry, good morning.
Good morning, Rianne. There is nothing like the conclave in the world. No other government, and the Vatican does choose its leader this way, and it chooses the leader like this. It is a combination of ancient ritual and hardball politics, and they hope the grace of God.
It's the iconic image. White smoke billowing up from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel, signaling that a new leader of the Catholic Church has been chosen. It's an ancient process shrouded in tradition and secrecy, the papal conclave.
One of the biggest misconceptions is that the current Pope would somehow appoint somebody or even anoint somebody like Pope Francis would tell people who he wants, which is totally false. It's a totally open field.
Shortly after Pope Francis is laid to rest, the carefully orchestrated process for electing the next pope will begin, typically 15 to 20 days after a pope's death. The College of Cardinals will gather and sequester inside the Vatican, cutting off contact with the outside world for the duration. It starts with an oath of secrecy.
The secrecy is to help people be able to express themselves openly and not worry that it's going to be reported afterwards.
Everybody who's not a cardinal elector must leave, and the great doors of the Sistine Chapel are closed.
Only the cardinals who are electors, that is, cardinals who are under 80, are allowed inside the Sistine Chapel for the conclave.
There, they will spend time in silence and prayer as they pore over the contenders.
The cardinals pray and make the decision under the guidance of the Holy Spirit. What they're looking for is a person who's holy, a person who's a good evangelizer who can proclaim the gospel, and someone who's a good administrator too, which are hard traits to find in one person.
When the time comes to vote, sitting in silence in 2 rows on either side, each cardinal will fill out his ballot in Latin before going up to the altar to cast them. Once all the cardinals have voted, the ballots are counted, read aloud, and noted. The votes are then burned in an iron stove at the end of a session. Black smoke signals that no one reached the 2/3 majority required to be elected. If that happens, the cardinals return to vote twice in the morning and twice in the evening, a process that could take days until a new pope is elected and chosen his new papal name, and that white smoke will billow out over the Sistine Chapel. So even right now, the cardinals are meeting every day, not to choose the next pope, but they're discussing the kind of challenges worldwide and in particular regions that are facing the Catholic Church right now. And they're doing something else, no question about it. They're sizing each other up, saying which one might be the next pope. Wait.
Yeah, and Terry, I'll take it from here. We know that this process will get underway soon. What can you tell us about where it stands right now?
Well, that everybody wants to know who are the leading candidates. This is actually the 3rd conclave that I will have covered. And every time you kind of pour through who are the leading contenders, there are bookmakers making odds, but there is an old saying, he who goes into the conclave thinking they're going to be the Pope comes out a cardinal. There are often surprises, and there is that element for this process that they hope that the Holy Spirit is guiding them. And sometimes holiness is actually the decisive factor. They sense that in one of their colleagues there is something special. That is the hope. We'll see what happens, guys.
We sure will. A fascinating process. Terry Moran, thank you so much for your coverage throughout the morning and in all of these days covering Pope Francis's passing. Thank you. And new developments in the murder trial of Karen Reed. Jurors visiting the site outside of Boston where her boyfriend's body was found. She's accused of hitting him with her car, then leaving him to die. ABC's Phil Lipoff joins us with more. Phil, she has a very different story in all of this. Good morning.
Which she does, and there was tremendous interest in this case, in part because of that from the start. Who killed a Boston police officer and why? Prosecutors say Karen Reed did it, but after one trial ended with no verdict and now a popular docuseries about the case, trial 2 is underway. Just before the 4th day of testimony in the Karen Reed murder retrial on Friday, jurors visiting the Canton, Massachusetts home, where Boston police officer John O'Keefe was found unconscious back in 2022. Members of the jury taken by bus to Fairview Road, seeing firsthand the Lexus SUV prosecutors allege Karen Reed used to hit O'Keefe with after a night of drinking. The rear of the vehicle still missing its taillight. Back in the courtroom, Jason Becker, a paramedic who gave Reed a psych evaluation at the scene, taking the stand.
We just knew that Miss Reed had found her husband, which she was calling dead on the side of the road. So it was a traumatic call.
Becker testifying about the nature of their conversation early that morning.
She was upset also because she said they had, the last time they had talked, she had gotten into an argument. So she was upset that was like her last words to him.
When you spoke to the defendant and she shared with you that her last words with her husband were an argument, why didn't you ask for more detail about that?
We didn't, think we would be witnesses in a murder trial. We were there to support Karen and ultimately get her to the hospital safely.
Reed pleading not guilty to second-degree murder and other charges against her. And the chief of pathology at the hospital where she was taken also testifying that at 9 o'clock the next morning, her blood alcohol level was still above the legal limit. Day 5, Monday, the trial gets underway, continues. Trial 2.
Really fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Phil. We are back now with some summer travel tips as the weather is starting to heat up, and Katie Nastro from the travel site Going is here with some insights on how much it's going to cost to get away and how to get the best bang for your buck. And I have to tell all of you at home, this is the woman we all go to when we want to travel.
Literally during the commercial break, we were like, where should we go?
Yes, and you were saying during the commercial break, this is going to be hot deal summer.
Yes, soft demand summer because of what we're seeing right now. You know, airlines and hotels are dealing with impacts from geopolitical tensions, tariffs, foreign tourists deciding to maybe not come to the U.S., as well as economic uncertainty that some people are feeling right now and thinking, is it good to travel this summer? Can I really afford it? However, on the flip side to all of that, we're seeing really incredible prices for peak summer dates that we would typically see in shoulder season or even the low season. So in terms of affordability, if you've been a procrastinator, this really could be your summer to win, as well as availability.
Okay, so you're the queen of finding these deals. So what are the deals that you're finding right now?
Yeah, look, so we are finding that Canada, as well as over to Europe, we're seeing some really great international deals. As well as if you are somebody that is potentially thinking, okay, maybe I want to trade down, instead of purchasing premium economy or business class flights, we're going to see more availability in those premium cabins, as well as if you're a points and miles enthusiast. Last minute availability, we're anticipating to see more of this year, or this summer specifically, because of everything that's going on. Airlines, you know, if less people are flying, airlines need to discount these seats to entice people to fly. So cheaper fares all around.
Okay, and so what more specifically for the summer? You talked about some of the airlines, but what else for summer break, summer travel?
Yeah, so right now domestically, what we're seeing on the Going app, you can head from Cincinnati to Charleston, get this, $78 round trip. That's right. If you are looking to splurge a little bit, you can go from Detroit to Nashville for $364. Yeah, that's right. That's in business class.
And that's round trip?
That's round trip.
In business class?
In business class.
Wow, okay.
And then internationally, get this. LA to Toronto, $161. That's almost 70% off what we typically would see. So that's a stellar deal. As well as you can go from New York to Paris, $468. Boston to Amsterdam, $396 round trip. That's for dates at the end of July into August. That's right, available right now. And again, we're seeing, just not in terms of availability, we're seeing these deals stick around a little bit longer than we typically would at this point in time. You know, we would tell people, run out, buy your flights right now. But hey, you know, if you're a procrastinator, you're still going to win.
Okay, I love a good deal, but I get nervous waiting till the last minute to buy flights.
Right.
So if you are planning to go away this summer, is July the best time? August? What is the best time to go?
Yeah, Rihanna, great question. And, you know, we wouldn't suggest, yes, definitely wait until the week before to buy that ticket to Paris. We would still suggest you want to get those flights booked and even accommodations. You want to get that all sorted by the end of April, early May. You know, and if you are still thinking about, okay, when is the best time really to avoid the crowds, if there's still going to be crowds this summer at specific places, you want to look to target either the first 2 weeks in June or really that end, the last 2 weeks in August, when so many public schools are going back and, you know, families aren't traveling as much. So you really can get affordability as well as a less packed place.
Well,
love it.
That's exciting. But you're sticking around because you're going to join us in our second hour here to talk about the real ID situation at airports for domestic flights. That's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to give you the information that you need to know. We'll be right back here on GMA.
Good morning, America. It's our second hour, celebrating Francis, the people's Pope. Hundreds of thousands of the faithful, from presidents to princes, saying goodbye to the man known as the people's Pope. Francis remembered for his faith, his inclusivity, and his efforts to help the unfortunate. The pageantry and the break from tradition following his wishes, the final journey to his humble resting place. What comes next? The centuries-old procedures to pick the next leader of the Catholic Church.
Two kids get their wishes granted for an experience of a lifetime
at one of the biggest nights in sports, their magical time at the 2025 NFL Draft.
Emotional plea. Justin Bieber's run-in with the paparazzi and the footage he captured. This morning, his message to Hollywood.
Madeline Brewer is live in Times Square.
I mean, we're the lucky ones.
Talking the final season of The Handmaid's Tale and her You debut.
I've never wanted anything more.
As she's saying,
Good morning, America.
It's Saturday morning. This is GMA.
And good morning, America. It's so great to have you with us on this Saturday as we cover the final goodbye to the people's Pope. Pope Francis earned that name. He always wanted to be close to the faithful, even insisting that when he would lie in state in the Vatican after his death, that his coffin be low to the ground so that those who would come to pay their respects could see him.
Just a remarkable morning. Some 200,000 people filling St. Peter's Square this morning. The crowds overflowing for his funeral mass. Attending the funeral, some of the most powerful people in the world, 2 American presidents, Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Dozens of heads of state, royalty there as well, Prince William there representing King Charles. And then after the mass, something that has not been seen in over 100 years, Pope Francis taken on his final journey, a procession winding through the streets of Rome.
What a sight there. Next, the secret conclave to choose the next pope to begin in the first or second week of May. We've got team coverage in Vatican City this morning, and we're going to begin here with ABC senior national correspondent Terry Moran. Terry, good morning to you. What a morning.
What a morning, Gio. Good morning. A beautiful spring morning here in Rome when nearly 250,000 people came out to say their final farewells. And in addition to those world leaders and the royals and all the rest, really this was a moment for people from all walks of life, from so many countries, to say their farewell to the people's Pope. This morning in St. Peter's Square, the solemn formal farewell to Pope Francis, a mass attended by a vast crowd for the man who led the world's 1.3 billion Catholics for 13 years. Thousands of mourners from all over the world filled St. Peter's Square, with many lining up since dawn for a chance to attend the ceremony.
I can hardly stand up, but this is incredible. This is the chance of a lifetime to see this.
Many who waited through the night sprinted to the square, hoping to secure a prime spot. Heavy security watched over the gathered crowds. Francis died on Monday morning following a stroke. After his death, the Pope lay in state for 3 days in St. Peter's Basilica, where the Vatican says more than 250,000 people came to pay their respects. The Pope had requested that he be laid to rest at the Basilica of St. Mary Major in the heart of Rome. The Pope's hearse, a converted Pope-mobile. And Francis had asked that his tomb be undecorated, with a one-word inscription, Franciscus, his name in Latin. Leaders came from around the world paying their last respects to the Pope this morning, including President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump, former President Joe Biden and former First Lady Jill, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and Prince William. Pallbearers carried Francis's coffin out of St. Peter's Basilica and into the square where the funeral mass was held. His casket was placed under the balcony where he first appeared as Pope 12 years ago. The gospel laid out on top of his coffin.
Per omnia saecula saeculorum.
Amen. Around 200,000 people attended the Pope's funeral mass.
God shows no partiality.
And the first reading was done by an American journalist, Kelsey Jussie. 91-year-old Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re remembered Francis in his homily as a unifying force in a rapidly changing world.
He gave of himself by comforting and encouraging us with a message capable of reaching people's hearts in a direct and immediate way.
And a striking moment, world leaders exchanging the sign of peace with one another afterward.
Now there will be 9 days of formal mourning. There'll be masses said around Rome and around the world for the repose of the soul of Pope Francis. And next comes the conclave. The cardinals will meet to discuss the issues before the church, maybe size each other up, see who the next pope might be, and then they'll go into the Sistine Chapel. They'll lock the doors, figuratively at least, and at some point there will be a successor to Pope Francis chosen.
So much intrigue surrounding that process. Terry Moran for us once again, thank you. And Pope Francis's message of peace inspired so many, hundreds of thousands of people crammed St. Peter's Square to pay their respects and to witness history. ABC's James Longman joins us now also from Vatican City. James, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. This was our vantage point for the funeral. Take a look. It was just extraordinary today. A sea of people here. 250,000 people came to the Vatican for this funeral. I have to say, it was a little bit of a carnival, a festival atmosphere, because there were so many young people here. This weekend is the Jubilee of the Teenager. Pope Francis called 2025 to be the Jubilee of Hope, and this weekend specifically, there were lots of young people in Rome anyway, and they found themselves in the middle of history. We were watching them down here, lounging about, chatting to their friends during the Mass. They kind of got a bit more serious during the Eucharist, the most important part of the Mass, of course, where the bread and wine becomes the body and blood of Christ. But then during the Peace Be With Yous, this was my favorite moment. They got up, sprang up and started shaking each other's hands, finding strangers in the crowd to shake their hands too. And I think Pope Francis would have loved that. Other moments that animated the crowd as well were when during the homily, the crowd was told about how Francis focused so much on the vulnerable, the poor, the needy. He described the church as a field hospital where the injured should come for respite. That really spoke to people here. Just so many people feeling enthused being part of history. Guys?
And James, we talked about Pope Francis and his message of peace. And another interesting moment here, President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky meeting there at the Vatican before the funeral mass. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, extraordinary, this moment. It was an incredible picture of the two of them sitting behind the scenes having a conversation. This is the first time since Zelensky was in the Oval Office, and of course that meeting that went slightly off the rails with President Trump. The United States has said that that meeting went well. This of course is to try to broker a peace deal in Ukraine to stop Russia's invasion. We know a lot of the pressure has been on Volodymyr Zelensky, but this is a message perhaps to Russia. Vladimir Putin, of course, who was not present at this funeral, but a meeting that gives so many around the world hope. And isn't it appropriate that during Pope Francis's funeral, discussions about peace to end a war took place? I think he would have liked that too. Guys.
James Longman for us. Thank you. Rhiannon?
And Maggie Rulli is also in Vatican City, where the crowds there were very moved by the ceremony that was filled with tradition. And Maggie, you were there with the faithful and really people of all walks of life. Tell us what it was like.
Yeah, Rhiannon, we really saw everyone from 85-year-olds to teenagers. And I think what was so striking is this collectivism, that everyone was here witnessing the same moment of history. Standing here, you could feel the weight of the moment. I think being here, you just understood the significance of what you were witnessing and what we all were a part of. You know, James mentioned that number, the Vatican saying nearly 250,000 people in this area. Yet during the ceremony, during the service, it was silent. Everyone paying their respects, taking that moment in. And many overcome by emotion. You know, that one 85-year-old woman we met, Joan from Ireland, she said she had tears in her eyes, yet she tells me they were tears of joy at the life that Pope Francis had lived. We also spoke with so many teenagers. You know, I met one kid, a teenager, Jackson from Tucson, and he said he couldn't believe how much this meant to him to actually be here for this moment, that he too was overwhelmed. And he says what stood out to him was just standing side by side with so many other Catholics. He said it even helped reinvigorate his faith, that he felt like he was part of something bigger standing here. And he also went on to say that, yes, today is a very somber day, but actually he was excited. He's excited for the future of the church, and he really feels that the legacy of Pope Francis will live on. Guys.
A beautiful farewell to the People's Pope. Maggie, thank you for that. The coverage of the Pope's funeral doesn't end here. We are streaming it all morning long on ABC News Live.
And coming up in our GMA morning menu, the Real ID deadline for domestic flights is less than 2 weeks away. What you need to know if you're traveling.
Also add the secret ingredient that is taking these pretzels to a whole new level. Is it Will Gans?
Absolutely. And Tori Johnson is here with a packed deals and steals full of everyday upgrades. We'll be right back. You're watching GMA on this Saturday morning.
And we're back now with our GMA cover story and the approaching Real ID deadline. Everybody talking about this.
Everybody's talking.
Our friend Katie Nastro from the travel site Going is back with us now to talk about the new rules that go into effect on May 7th. Mark that date down. Katie, welcome back.
Thank you for
So
having me.
talk about what people need to know and how you can check to see if your ID meets this new standard.
Yeah, look, a lot of people that have gotten an ID renewed in the past year or two don't even realize maybe that they have a Real ID. You just need to look in the top corner to see if you have a star stamp, or if you're in California, a bear with a star, or if you have an enhanced ID, certain states do have that, you have a flag emblem. So you need that extra little sort of insignia to know that you do have a Real ID.
And Katie, this passed in 2005. And it was supposed to go into effect 2008. They keep delaying it. Here we are, less than 2 weeks now. What can people do if they don't have a Real ID, but they do need to travel? Is there something else they can use?
Yeah, great question. And look, you know, myself included.
Yeah, see, I was wondering when you were going to reveal it.
Yeah, confession time.
Confession time. No, I want people to understand that even somebody that works in the industry thought that this would get pushed back again. But you know, look, if you have a passport card, federal ID, military ID, or global entry, Nexus, Centra card, those are alternates that you can use and will be included or will be accepted as a form of Real ID. And, you know, I had a little chat with the TSA agent and I asked, you know, are you seeing a lot of people without a Real ID? And literally looked me up and down and goes, I see one right now. So don't worry. Even, you know, there's guilty as charged, so don't feel bad. But hey, I think people need to understand if you're not boarding a flight or entering a federal building anytime soon, don't fret, and then wait till and wait till the rush is gone to be able to get it, because you have alternates to use.
How do you get away out of these long lines? Because that's the problem, right? You have so many long lines.
So many long lines. DMVs are packed to the max. If you're a AAA member, you can go through them in select states. Some DMVs are even having extended hours or offering satellites over the weekends, different centers. As well as if you're based in New York, go to the New York Auto Show right at the Javits Center. Your ticket will actually get you into the show, and it's a way to. They have a DMV booth there.
Brilliant.
So if you're a New Yorker, that's another option. So, you know, they're really trying to make it as accessible as possible. TSA stated that 81% of people have an acceptable form of Real ID. That doesn't necessarily mean that every 81% has a Real ID, but they do have an acceptable form, and you might even have one and not know it. So don't fret if you're not traveling or going into a federal building. If you're taking a road trip, for example, your regular license is just fine.
I like the tips on how to avoid the DMV, though. Anytime you can avoid the DMV, maybe go to an auto show. I'll take that. Katie, as always, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, it is time now for Pop News with Will Gans and a giant GMA pretzel.
That we've been told not to eat.
Yeah. I have been in the bakery for hours working on that thing, you guys. All right, we begin Pop News with Justin Bieber making an emotional plea online for paparazzi to give the Grammy winner some space. Justin turning the cameras on photogs as they try to snap his picture this week. Members of Justin's team asking repeatedly for them to back up. In Justin's caption, "This has to stop." He posted another Instagram saying, in part, "I too have been caught up in the transactional nature of Hollywood," adding, "I want nothing to do with that as a grown adult with a wife and son." And in case anyone had any lingering questions, the Biebs punctuated his sentiments with another video of himself boxing, writing, "Gotta punch these pads, because if not these pads, it's these fools' head tops." So paparazzi, you heard him. And look, he looks like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's put you on notice.
Blah, blah. All right, Team Justin. Next, Variety's first ever Broadway Actors on Actors.
This is so good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Actors on Actors series has been rolling out this week with stars like George Clooney praising his conversation partner Patti LuPone, and Nicole Scherzinger and Jonathan Groff also obsessing over Patti LuPone, as one does. Variety saved its most hilarious pairing for last. Take a look at our exclusive sneak peek of Darren Criss and Cole Escola. Cole explaining the inspiration behind their insanely popular and just plain insane play, Oh Mary.
I guess I just had the idea, you know, what if Abe Lincoln's assassination, sorry, using full names, what if Abraham Lincoln's assassination wasn't such a bad thing for Mary Todd Lincoln?
Right.
And
if you haven't seen the play, it is just
the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Wild. Yes, so funny. The full conversation drops on Variety.com at 11 a.m. Eastern. All of those conversations.
I love that you two have so much time for Broadway plays. How come you and I have never seen anything?
Hey, you know what? Gio did recommend Beetlejuice for my children one time. So, you know,
we're never letting that
next
one
time
go.
we're going to Uncle Will for the recommendation.
That's right. That's
They're
right.
better for us.
For the record, though, we have moved out of movie season now that the Oscars are behind us, and this is Broadway season. We're gearing up for the Tonys, which is why we're talking about Broadway so much. All right, finally, don't get it twisted, or maybe we should get it twisted. Today is National Pretzel Day, and to celebrate, we have brought in some of New York City's very favorite pretzels. These are from Elbow Bread, and they are a classic soft pretzel seasoned with sourdough, but their secret ingredient in the classic pretzel is sweet potato, which adds an earthy touch to the dough, and its main function is to help keep the pretzels extra soft and squishy, similar to a potato roll.
Oh my God, that is delicious.
Isn't that great?
I'll just keep it right here.
I want one of these.
I know, that's the one I grabbed as well, cinnamon and sugar.
That
Will you save
is
me one of these as well? Because I have to go to work while you guys eat.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Will.
Don't worry, we'll all be here when you get back.
It's time to head over to Tori Johnson for Deals and Steals. They're going to eat some pretzels. Promise to save me some, guys? Okay. Tori, they're going to save some for you as well.
If they don't save any, I've got snacks covered.
Oh, you have snacks?
Yeah,
You always
so
have snacks.
Don't you worry. Okay.
You bring the best stuff.
We're starting right over here with under outfit.
Ooh.
This is one of the most comfortable bras that you could ever wear. It's the one that they actually say that you will forget that you are wearing. It's their comfort shaping bra. It's got more than 20,000 positive reviews. No wires, no digging, just pure comfort and great support. We also have their shaping camis. We've got leggings, bottoms, whole assortment, all 50% off starts at $12.
I've never forgotten I've worn a bra before, but this is insanely soft. So I believe you.
Yeah,
I believe
exactly.
you.
We'll have to, we're going to hook you up. All right, FTL. I'm excited about this. Stands for the love. Whether it is travel, going to work, the gym, this is the bag created by guys who were having trouble kind of figuring out what bag do I bring for each thing that's going to fit all of my stuff. And they've thought of every single functional detail. So we've got everything from the shoe compartment that's on the side right here. Then we swing it around in the front and you've got a spot for your phone. We open it up and we've got built-in packing cubes and areas right here. Up here we've got a pocket that you could grab something. Inside here it comes with a garment bag.
Wow.
Back over here it's got a laptop sleeve and more room. And then in the back it's got your suitcase strap. Comes also with the shoulder strap. No matter how you're carrying it or where you're going, this is going to fit and it's going to be in style. And today the whole assortment is 50% off.
And it's pretty lightweight, I have to say.
Very lightweight to start with.
It's not going to break your back.
Exactly. And TSA approved for carry-on.
Oh, I love that.
Bread. This is one of the easiest ways to turn any lace-up into a slip-on. So feel it's got this really great elastic here.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to tie it once. Never have to tie it again. It turns that shoe into a slip-on. Super comfortable. So whether it's you're always in a rush or you want it for your kids or somebody who has mobility challenges and can't bend to tie their shoes, this is super smart. $5 for a pair.
I need some of these for my kids.
Very
they hate
smart.
tying their shoes.
There you go. Barefoot Scientists. All of these products are like a facial for your feet. I love these here. Those are the overnight gel socks. So not only do they feel really comfortable, but then they also smell really good. It's kind of like a little rose scent, but it's that gel on the inside that allows your feet to be super soft by morning. We've got everything from exfoliating peels to different treatments. Everything slash and half starts at $3.
Wow,
yeah,
$3.
Yeah, really good. Okay, then clean air every single day of the year from Blue Air. These are their air purifiers. We've got 2 different sizes that you would choose based on the room size. It's going to go by square footage. 3 different settings that are on them. You see that it's oscillating. It's also a beautiful, they're Scandinavian design, so it fits in with your decor. 50% off and free shipping.
Free shipping.
Like
we love that. Yes,
and then finally, as promised, snacks for you. I see they've already started. Oh, Pop Pop. So one of the easiest ways to have flavor-wrapped popcorn because every single kernel is enveloped with that flavor.
Delicious.
You're choosing
We're
now.
eating, Tori. Thank you.
Big assortment. We'll
be right back.
Online.
And we're back now as wedding season kicks off, but it's not bride or groom content that's taking the internet by storm right now. It's the kids who are winning the weekend today. Check out this cute moment at the wedding of Carrie and David. Between the best man's, this is the service dog Joplin and the groom's 12-year-old nephew Sawyer. these two definitely having a moment there, or at least needed a moment from all of the celebrations.
Yeah, to their credit, they did have a long day. Joplin the pup, who was placed with the best man through an organization that provides service dogs for veterans, was part of the nuptials. And Mr. Sawyer, well, he apparently, quote, had a belly full of steak and danced the night away.
Okay, that sounds like a perfect night to me, and then end up cuddling with the dog. Young Sawyer may have danced till he dropped, but at another wedding, we spotted a video of a little lady who rolled the dance floor, bringing on cheers from the bride. Look at this. Being the hit of the night there. Oh, look at her moves.
The wedding dance-offs, you can't go wrong.
Now on GMA with new music from Shaboozey and Jelly Roll. Amen is one of the brand new tracks off Shaboozey's extended version album. Where I've Been Isn't Where I'm Going, the complete edition. It is out now. The two have really taken the country music genre by storm separately. So as you just heard, though, it's really magic when they team up.
I think so. That's awesome.
We never knew we needed.
Yep.
You got it. Now to some of the top headlines that we're following right now. A wildfire in New Jersey growing to more than 15,000 acres. It's now 60% contained, and evacuation orders were lifted. Flames destroying one commercial building along with multiple outbuildings and vehicles. No reports, though, of any injuries. A man has been charged with arson for this fire.
Measles cases jump in the U.S. The CDC now saying nearly 900 cases are reported in 29 states. That's up around 10% from just last week. There are 3 confirmed deaths. All were unvaccinated. Nearly all the measles cases are in people who are unvaccinated or whose vaccination status is unknown.
And some big news from the NBA playoffs overnight. The Minnesota Timberwolves beating the LA Lakers and the Milwaukee Bucks beating the Indiana Pacers. It's an exciting Saturday. We've got 4 games. You can catch Game 3 of the Houston Rockets versus the Golden State Warriors right here on ABC at 8:30 Eastern. Okay, our next guest we are so excited for. She is currently starring in the swan song season of 2 hit shows. Madeline Brewer plays Janine on The Handmaid's Tale and made her debut as Bronte when You's final season debuted on Thursday, and then that skyrocketed to the #1 show on Netflix.
Congratulations.
#1. So it is a good time to be you, my friend. Okay, so you are a longtime fan of the show You.
Yes.
What was it like joining that cast and being a part of this iconic final season?
It was thrilling. It was surreal. I mean, walking into Mooney's bookstore, which is like a throwback to the first season. I'm so honored, and to play this incredible character, to bring her to life and kind of help land the plane of the final season. It's like the time of my life.
I mean, this character. Let's take a look at a clip here.
But then you start treating me like an actual princess. Not a cliche fairy tale damsel, but a beautiful, flawed heroine of my own romance novel. I've never wanted anything more. But then you.
Ooh, okay. You seem sweet there, but you know what? We met because you're a guest on my husband's podcast, Tommy D'Addario, and he actually brought you some sage because this character turns a little dark.
Yeah.
What's it like for you now to watch yourself in this show in this way?
Oh, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the show, so I'm just excited to be a part of the world. And you know, the work is done. We worked so hard last year in shooting this, and I've made some friends for life. Like, I'm having dinner with them tonight on the show. And yeah, I feel very lucky to be a part of something I've been a fan of for so long.
Yeah. Speaking of being lucky to be part of something, 9 years at The Handmaid's Tale, now the final season. What's it going to be like saying goodbye to Janine?
It's been a journey. It's been 9 years since I auditioned. And I do feel I'm so grateful to our writers
That's
for
so much of your life.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've grown up as Janine and with Janine. And so our circle is completed. I've given her everything I can, and she's given me everything she's supposed to. And I'm really proud of the work we've done together.
And I understand you took a little piece home with you, a little piece of Janine to remember her by.
A little piece.
Yeah, what is that?
I took Janine's eye patch.
No.
Yes.
Yes. Of course. It's like
Amazing.
my little space pirate eye patch. I took my dress too, and my bonnet. It's like a piece of history for me, for my life, and for the legacy of the show. It's Of course I took it with me.
Yes.
I think we all took something.
Well, you've been a part of this show since the very beginning. What has it been like as this show has evolved over the years? What has it been like to be a part of that journey? And do you think this show has a message this final season for viewers?
I think what has been one of the most meaningful parts of creating the show is that as soon as it went out into the world, the show took on a life of its own. The image of the red robes and the white bonnet, and the thesis, I think, the legacy has been the same since the book.
Can we talk about the Listerine strip? Because this was another takeaway from you personally, from Elizabeth Moss, right?
Yeah, I mean, Lizzie's constant. I mean, she's always carrying Listerine strips. I don't know what it is. They become a bit of addictive, and I always have them in the spray. I drink a lot of coffee.
Well, for those intimate acting moments,
Yeah,
right? You got to be
close
fresh.
to somebody,
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to just pop a strip.
So everyone always says your breath smells so fresh.
Yeah.
And by the way, we have a little surprise for you.
You do?
Yes, we do. We heard that your birthday is coming up this week.
Happy birthday!
With a little birthday cake for you. And look at this.
And look at this.
And a gift.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
This is just for you.
Thank you.
And it's vegan.
And it's
Yes,
vegan.
it is a vegan cake for you.
Thank you. So I'm going to cry.
You got to show the camera what's in the box here. Because
I've got my
speaking-
Listerine strip.
That's right.
You got the Listerine
I'm going to be a fresh girl. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
How thoughtful.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And thank you for
so enjoyed
spending,
watching you.
just days before your birthday, and you're spending it with us.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
What a pleasure.
And the final season of The Handmaid's Tale is streaming right now on Hulu, and the final season of You is also streaming on Netflix.
Thanks again for coming by. We appreciate it. And coming up next here, the 2025 NFL Draft is underway, and while most of the dreams are coming true for many, two inspiring young men had the wish to make the calls for their favorite teams. We'll have their stories coming up next. We're back now with a dream come true for two kids who got the chance to experience one of the biggest nights in professional football at the 2025 NFL Draft. And Ike Ajachi is live in Green Bay with more on that story. Hey, Ike.
Hey, good morning, Whit. Let me tell you, it was a big moment for two very special football fans. Sam Barrett and Tommy Parzamiso, they had one wish, announce their favorite team's pick on draft day. A special request coming to life. The NFL Draft, a once-a-year event that puts fans on the edge of their seats to see where the football stars of tomorrow will make their rookie debut.
The Dallas Cowboys select Tyler Booker.
And this year, for the first time, it's all going down in one of football's most storied cities, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Over 250,000 people leaping into Lambeau with hopes their team makes the pick that transforms their franchise's fortune. But for Broncos fan Sam Barrett and Bills fan Tommy Parzamiso, it's about so much more. Both dreamed of announcing the first-round draft pick for their teams. Make-A-Wish, the NFL, and ESPN making those wishes come true.
How about you announce our first pick this year?
I'm going to be doing it, and I don't know. It was just a bunch of emotions, like excited, nervous. Like, I just couldn't believe it was happening.
They're both in great shape after harrowing medical ordeals. 16-year-old Tommy Parzamiso is confined to a wheelchair stemming from a neuromuscular disorder. And 17-year-old Sam Barrett is recovering following surgery to remove a brain tumor. VIPs at the big event going behind the scenes with ESPN and on stage to let the world know their team's draft picks.
The Denver Broncos select Jahdae Barron, DB, Texas.
The Buffalo Bills select Maxwell Harrison. Let's go!
A night of wishes fulfilled for rookies and fans alike and two very deserving Make-A-Wish teams. Now, Sam and Tommy were so fired up to be just a small part of their favorite team's big day. I managed to speak to them a while just before that moment just to see where their heads were at. And I asked them, hey, listen, what was your favorite part of this whole experience? And they said, you know what? It wasn't meeting all the celebrities. It wasn't walking the red carpet. It wasn't even getting all that awesome VIP access. It was just the fact that they know that their favorite teams truly care. guys.
I love
so
that.
nice.
What an amazing experience for them, too.
Really is.
And for all the fans out there. Ike, we appreciate it as always.
Okay, we are back now with ABC Secret Sales. Will is back with clever solutions to everything from aches and pains to flat tire, which is also a pain. All these products are shoppable on our website right now. What you got?
All right, let's start with a little bit of recovery. Imagine this, Gio. You get home from a tough day at the gym. All of your days at the gym, I know you're putting in maximum effort. I've seen the Instagrams. All right, this is Reathlete, so this is amazing. This is the Metafrost system. So this, you would strap onto your knee, for example, if you wanted to reduce inflammation, reduce swelling, support recovery. And the amazing thing about this is that it's portable, it's targeted.
Whit needs this. Whit needs this.
Yeah, Whit plays a lot of soccer. You're right.
A lot of soccer.
He
needs this.
So, I mean, if you wanted to, you could, although I need you to come with me, so don't get too comfortable over there. So the great thing about this,
like this. Oh, that's cool.
Is that, you have your ice water in here, and it's going to deliver that cold, soothing comfort right to where you need it.
That's awesome.
And instead of having your ice melt all over like a traditional ice pack, it stays very clean and hassle-free. Today, 50% off for our viewers, plus my two favorite words,
free shipping. All right, what we got over here?
My other favorite words, by the way, are National Pretzel Day. All right, this is Air Moto. So this is perfect. It's going to be peace of mind. Should you ever get a flat tire or something like that, it's also really great for, inflating soccer balls, tennis balls, basketballs, anything you might need. And it works super quickly, which is really, really great. It's very loud, so I'm like nervous to press it.
You turned it off.
I turned it off. Classic Will. All right, you get the idea. You can keep this in your glove compartment, and it also has, thank you. You have to hold it down.
Okay, there we go.
I think we're just turning it on and off. Anyway, you can keep it in your glove compartment. We also have a plug kit that can help you repair punctures, which is fabulous. And it's really just a great gift for peace of mind. Air Moto, today, save up to 50% off for our viewers.
Boom. Okay, what do we have over here?
This is a fan fave. This is a small but mighty portable charger that's going to keep you juiced up whenever, wherever you need it. Interchangeable adapters on these, so it works for an iPad, it works for your phone, it works for an Android, and it also has a little flashlight on it. It will tell you how much battery you have left, which is amazing.
This is cool.
Yeah, and you can keep them in your bag, and you will always have all the juice you need for all of your devices. Really, really fabulous. You can save today. It's just $30 with our savings.
I feel like that's really good for travel.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
and what's here?
All right, this is peace of mind with the digital backup. This
always need these.
Yeah, so
always need
if you're changing phones or if you need to update your software, I always get nervous that I'm going to lose all of my pictures, videos.
And I have. Thank goodness I had this.
Yes.
Thank goodness I had this.
There's truly nothing worse. And so what you do is you download an app, you just pop this in to, again, it fits into an iPad, it fits into a PC, a Mac, an iPhone.
So this is, this right here is
and it will automatically save all of your videos and your photos and things like that. And there's also a new option to back up extra large digital files. I have some videos that are, way too long. Today you can save more than 60% on these smart devices.
Okay, I'm going to take a couple of these. These are
there
good.
You go.
Okay,
Fab,
what
right?
do we have here?
All right, last but not least, you can get clean hair without the water. So, if you're
without the water?
Yeah, this is a dry shampoo.
Okay.
Swear was created by two friends who were frustrated by having to plan their workouts around washing and drying their hair. So all you have to do is just spray this into your hair. It's going to remove the oil, the grease, anything that you don't want without water, without suds. So you can just go straight from the gym, maybe to the office, wherever you need to go, to dinner, to lunch, to brunch.
Wait, that's brilliant.
So smart,
and
right?
then you have little travel versions too.
Exactly. You spray it, you towel dry it, and you're good to go. We have these in full size and travel sizes, as you pointed out. And great deals today on all of this stuff from Swear.
You brought the good stuff. Thank you.
Always
Will. Appreciate you.
Stuff. Thank you.
Okay, well, there you go. We've partnered with all these companies right here on these great bargains. Get them on our website, goodmorningamerica.com.
Thank you so much for starting your day with us, Rhiannon. It was great to have you in today.
I'll be back tomorrow.
Yes,
You'll
back
be
tomorrow. Tomorrow back from vacation as well.
I know. Aloha.
And we will see you right now on ABC News Live after the show. We'll see you there. We'll have the latest on the funeral held for Pope Francis.